Hello and welcome to The Very Worst, a podcast that is only about all of the Pokemon movies. I am Matt Aucamp.
I'm Pat Reber.
I'm Ashley Stoneman.
And today we're going to talk about, first, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, happy holidays.
Hey,
an inclusive people.
Ashley.
Yes?
Ashley, what day is it, boy?
But, why, it's the greatest day on earth, sir. It's Christmas Day.
Then I haven't missed it. It's not too late to talk to the internet about Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea.
I would love to see a version of that classic Christmas Carol moment, but where the kid just says, "Why, it's holidays, sir." Just really throw a lob in the war on Christmas.
What?
The winter holiday.
Wait, what do you celebrate today, sir?
What are you guys doing for your it's Christmas Day right now. What are you doing right now?
Oh, okay, so it's Christmas Day right now.
Right now it's Christmas. When somebody is listening to this, because I'm sure everyone listens to it as soon as it comes out, regardless of what they're doing, whether they're with their families,
I'm gonna be
whether
with
they're
either my immediate family or my New York family. I don't know yet, because nothing has been established by my family for some reason. So I'm either I could be one of three places right now. I could either be in Philadelphia, which is where my mom wants to go. I could either be in Virginia, which is where she lives, or I could be in New York, which is where she said she might be, but also my friends are here, and my other loved ones are here.
For context, for the listeners, that's in 3 days.
Yes.
It's the 22nd
Have
right now.
no clue what's
Do you
happening.
remember when, I don't think we brought this up on the podcast, but there was like a solid 2-week period where Ashley wasn't sure if she could record because she might be leaving for Japan in the next few days.
She was like, yeah, I'll either be here or I'll be in Japan next week.
Let me throw out why exactly that happened, was because a friend of mine was like, I'm going to Japan, and jokingly I was like, do you need a travel buddy? And they were like, yeah, sure, why not? I was like, cool, sweet. And they said, how about this? I'm going to fly over. When I get over there, I'll hit you up, and we'll make arrangements. And he's like, but I gotta wait till I go. And so 3 weeks later, they were there. And they call me up, or we stay in contact. They're like, so, like, what's the deal? Is oh, I'm sorry. I'm just so busy right now. I will get back to you. We get back in contact. He was like, oh, it's just, I just can't do this right now. We'll plan for a day later. By the way, so I have family over there, which is why we were going to go visit. And
You have family in Japan?
I do have family in Japan. Some fam.
Whoa.
And spend some time there. So I'm like not broken up that it didn't happen, because I'll just go another time.
Wild. How about you, Pat? It's Christmas Day. What are you doing?
I'll be here in Philadelphia. That's my wife and I are hosting a few family members, exchanging gifts, probably eating and seeing a movie.
Oh, wait, Whoa, you're the level of adult now where you are hosting Christmas.
I know, it's wild. I love it.
Wow.
Oh, that is cool. I
don't
like that.
I feel like that'll never happen. I feel like I'd never be that level
It
of
will.
adult. I'm spending most of Christmas Day like driving from place to place, like my son's house, my parents' house, my other parents' house, my girlfriend's house. Like, I'm gonna be so at any point that this is being released, I'm probably in a car.
Cool. Hey.
Well, and I work the day before and the day after, so this is gonna be a cool Christmas.
Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry.
Listen to us in your car, Matt.
Yeah.
While you're driving, you can just listen to yourself talk.
We do record this podcast mainly for ourselves as the listening audience. Well, enough fucking idle chit chat. Let's talk about this. God, guys, this movie.
Yeah, I don't know how much I want to talk about this.
Humana.
Movie. So, this movie was 6 hours long.
It was a full day, and I lost a portion of my life to watching this movie.
They're getting longer. This really worries me. They are. This one was an hour and 45 minutes in reality, and that's longer than the last one, which was too long. The last one was like an hour 25, and I said, that's enough.
Guys, they're gonna span to like 2 hours and 15 minutes. And
Yeah, it's gonna be like Avengers length.
I don't understand what's happening.
I bet you Detective Pikachu is gonna be 2.5 hours.
God damn it.
That'll be worth it.
It's gonna be so good.
No, it's not.
See, I love the intros. Just stay. They're so. I do want to talk about like just like vaguely about the movie before we like recap it, and we're gonna have to recap it kind of fast today. But the intros are so weighty and so lofty.
Yes.
Like it opens with the narrator, and we're back to our normal narrator. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
And he goes, which is weird because he's the only one who has his original voice.
He's back, and he is back with an attitude.
Our world, their world. It is a Pokemon world, is what he says. And then later he says, he's talking about how many Pokemon there
Yes!
are. He's like,
Try and count
Count
them
them.
if you dare.
but then try and count the grains of sand on your favorite beach.
Not just any beach. Your favorite one.
And he's like,
What he's implying is that there are as many Pokemon as there are grains of sand on a beach. Which
there's like 800 some Pokemon.
Are there
There's
all-
809 Pokemon right as of recording
right.
right now.
which makes the phrase "try and count them if you dare" really funny.
And like, also, if I went to a beach with 808 grains of sand on it, that's a bad beach going experience.
That's what you track into your house.
Yeah.
at maximum.
And this movie came out like 10 years ago.
Right, where there's only like 300. Sir, we found roughly 808 grains of sand in your pancreas. Like,
Did you know
We're
this?
talking about like those rocky European beaches.
oh,
So it's
right.
just counting each rock as a grain of sand. Since it's a beach.
Do you guys know you eat 808 spiders on average in a year while you're sleeping?
I've heard this.
And each one of those spiders eats a grain of sand.
And he's talking about how people could use Pokemon like wrong, which again is a concept that blows my mind. Like the right way to use them is to make them fight each other and to keep them in small balls and like
Right.
make them sweep your house. But like he says, what does he say? Like some people will misuse Pokemon to further their own selfish, egotistical needs in the name of darkness.
Something like that. Yeah.
Which does turn out to be the villain's motivation in this movie.
I mean,
I don't know if it makes me more mad that he says something so absurd or that he's 100% correct. How did you feel about this movie, like overall? Like it's long.
It's extremely long. I just want to clarify. I just want to make a point about how long this movie is.
It's so long.
It's so long. But
I missed Christmas.
I'm just very excited to get to our villain. I'm just really excited to
God.
get to our villain right now. So
The villain is great.
Yeah,
the villain is so good.
And there's some real cast of characters in this one, like the Pokemon Ranger Jack Walker.
Yes, Jack Walker.
cast of characters.
Yes.
It's a bunch of Trader Joe's employees. That's
Just
the
a man-
entire cast of this movie.
Elizabeth the water dancer, a captain of a ship, and a guy named Kyle.
I gotta say, I found this movie unnerving. That's the word I keep
Extremely.
using for this.
Yeah.
It's like it's bad, and it's not like fun to watch bad, or at least fun to make fun of bad, like a lot of past Pokemon movies. This was just upsetting.
It's like unsettling.
Oh, guys. Ash
Yeah.
went through puberty. Do you guys notice this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
part of it.
It's kind of unbelievable. Like, his voice dropped 10 octaves.
Yeah. Well, and he lost the scratchiness.
He
He's
lost
no
the
longer like,
scratchiness.
it's
He's not
me,
like-
Ash. He's like,
He's not like a little
"It's-
kid.
it's
He's
me,
like, hey,
Ash.
it's me,
It's
Ash."
me, Ash. Yeah.
Well, and there wasn't a big gulf of difference between his voice and Jack. What is his name? Jack Walker.
Jack White.
Jack Ranger Pokemon Walker, who has the most boring hero look and hero voice in the world, and he's like, "It's me, Jack
guys.
Walker."
Oh my god, can we go over the dialogue? It's so good. Guys, the spy dialogue is so great. You're late.
The dialogue between him and the villain.
I don't.
And we should talk about the villain right now.
Let's talk about the
because
villain.
he's just a big fat pirate
He's-
with this that looks like Blackbeard.
Yes.
Got fat and then huffed some Joker gas.
Yes.
And then tied 2 belts around his like knee-length beard.
Yeah, belts like that you would wrap around your waist. Not
Yeah. He has
like
2 belts on his beard, holding his beard in place. I'm guessing, or
like Khal Drogo, like every time he kills a man, he
puts a
ties a belt
onto
around his beard.
So he's only killed 2 people ever. So
Yeah, well,
he's
that's
a bad
Ashley.
villain. Yeah.
Killing 2 murders is enough.
It is enough. It is enough, but I would expect more from a supervillain.
Well, he tried to murder like 9 people in this movie.
Yeah, but he failed. He would have
And
he would have had to wear 9 belts on his beard.
So when Fat Blackbeard fights Jack Ranger Pokemon Walker, he's like, Jack Walker keeps being like, saying shit like, failure? I don't know the meaning of the word.
No, but she didn't even say failure. She literally didn't say the word. And she was like, yeah, but this is really dangerous. And he says, I don't even know the meaning of the word failure. It's like, I didn't say failure.
But the thing that she says, and then later Fat Blackbeard says is, would you like to borrow my dictionary?
Everybody says this to him 3 times. They made this joke 3 times in the movie.
It's unbelievable.
Would you like to borrow my dictionary? I wonder
Jack
Walker really honestly doesn't understand the meaning of certain words.
So the movie opens with this like weird egg bouncing around this like Finding Nemo underwater paradise
Right.
Yeah.
land, and
Boring.
well, that's the thing is there's all these. This is what is I think unsettling about this movie is there's all these scenes that could last a minute, and instead they last 7 minutes, and it's like an egg bouncing around water, or somebody taking a swim, or it's mostly just people swimming.
Yeah, it's a lot of extended swimming scenes.
If you
and then at the end, a few extended flying scenes.
If you cut out the swimming scenes from this movie, you would and this is not an exaggeration. Like, I know I'm prone to exaggeration, but I think if you cut out all the swimming scenes down to like just like a transition, like they swim, this movie would lose 40 minutes.
It is. I mean, it is the temple of the sea. They have to. They have to swim.
Yeah, but there's so much of just like somebody swimming and showing a bunch of underwater creatures swimming around them, and then they're still swimming, and then there's a bunch of creatures, and they're still swimming, and there's a bunch of like nothing happens. They're just
Yeah, it's a lot of. They're just having a blast. It's a lot of like, look how fun swimming is.
You know what it felt like? It felt. Do you guys know about the Marvel method of writing comic books?
No, not really.
It was this thing they used to do back in the day that like Stan Lee developed or whatever, where instead of him writing a comic book, he would give it to the artist. He'd give like a basic plot to the artist, like, let's do this one. Spider-Man fights a bunch of robbers, and then one of them's Mysterio, and Mysterio has an evil plot, and he sends Mysterio to jail. I
like Stanley's impression.
Thanks. And then he'd hand that off to like Jack Kirby or whoever, or John Romita, and they would draw a whole comic, hand it back to Stan Lee, and he would fill in a story using dialogue and captions.
No, really?
Right, and that's what I think happened with this movie. Somebody was like,
That makes sense.
there's a legendary Pokemon, it's in the water, some guy's trying to kidnap it, Ash meets a Pokemon Ranger who's trying to save it, they have to take it to the Temple of the Sea, go ahead, draw whatever you want. And somebody was just like, having so much fun just drawing sea Pokemon, and they handed back an hour and 45-minute movie, and the writers were like, we gotta make this work somehow. Because there's so much of this movie that just happens kind of randomly, right?
Yeah. It did some of it feels like it's out of order. In a
Yeah.
way. Like someone dropped the script and like it all got mixed up. they had to put it back together. Like, why didn't you number this, John? And now they have to like staple it back together and figure out like what goes where.
You know, that always feels like the way what happens with Team Rocket scenes too. In
Truth.
every one of these movies, it feels like somebody, maybe a member of Team Rocket, wrote scenes for Team Rocket and then shuffled them randomly into the script.
Except for in this movie, they have like a real motivation and a real effect on the plot for the first time in a very long time.
You
Not
feel like
only
they have an
that.
effect on the plot?
Yeah, they wouldn't. I mean, we'll get there, but essentially, the gang leads Team Rocket to the friends they meet in this movie, and Team Rocket is the one that tips the villain off that they're there. Otherwise, their friends get away scot-free. That's another point of contention I have. But
Okay.
we'll get there.
Yeah, let's get to it. I'm going to
But
tear
also,
through.
real quick,
Yeah.
Team Rocket also has like actual technology, like real practical technology that they're using in this movie. Like
You mean
like the spy binoculars?
The flying blimp that they have to pedal?
They always have that, Ashley.
All right.
Yeah, they do have some technological spy binoculars. I remember now that you're reminding me of what happened 17 hours ago, I remember that they had that at the beginning of the movie.
All right.
So, I'm going to tear through the recap. So there's a little egg bouncing around that like deep sea paradise, and then it gets captured by the big fat Blackbeard. We don't know his name for literally an hour into the movie. We don't know what his name is.
And he reveals that his motivation is to fulfill unlimited desires. That's what he's driven by, unlimited desire.
And that's the thing. He has this.
Hey, he's driven by what?
Unlimited desire.
So is Brock.
Good point.
Sorry.
Good point.
Yeah, so he captures this little egg, and
He calls it the egg of the prince.
and then
Sounds like a
It's so
British
good.
breakfast.
and then one of his henchmen is like, "I'll take that," and runs away with it, and all his other henchmen chase them, and it's like this like farcical, like he throws potatoes on the ground and they all slip and fall, and he throws pots on their heads and they
all go,
bang into each other.
and just struggle to get pots off the top of their heads.
And he whips off his disguise, and it turns out he's Jack Walker, Pokemon Ranger. He reveals that by talking to like another one of these super technological headquarters.
Oh my god.
That where like it's like doesn't get any character development, doesn't have any bearing on the
It's
plot,
so
just
wonderful.
Yeah, he's
It's
talking to
so
his handler.
wonderful.
And he tells his handler that he's Jack Walker, Pokemon Ranger.
this is such a weird. Yeah, he tells
To
it,
which the
and they're
handler
like,
should be like, yeah, I know, Jack.
know.
You don't have to introduce you. I'm your handler.
we've been friends for 20 years. And he's like, what is with this running theme in these movies where every new character has a headset that connects to some person in some faraway headquarters?
Every character is undercover spy. All these
Right, yeah.
characters are all undercover spies who have headquarters. We have no idea. They literally say,
Right.
"Hey, headquarters." Like, nothing.
What's her name from the Lucario movie? Had it
Kit.
from the Lucario movie.
Kit.
The two
Kit.
spies.
Kit.
What
Banks,
are their names?
Banks and Kit, the ones I'm just saying
yeah.
over and over. Banks
Wyatt and
and Kit.
Bert.
Banks.
Oh yeah. What were the names like Billy and Kid or Wyatt and Nerf
Banks
or
and Kit.
no, the other ones.
No,
No,
Banks.
Ashley, in the other movie, in the Pokemon Heroes movie, the Team Rocket ladies.
Oh, the tulip girl, the black tulip, and oh
No,
no,
but the
those
Black Tulip is
Oh.
another one.
Black Tulip's another one.
and
What was Black Tulip in? Jirachi?
no,
No.
she was in Enya, the Entei movie.
Yeah.
That was so long ago.
Yeah, I know, right? And
don't
no, that was
I don't remember any of these movies. Good thing we're gonna watch them again. Anyway, so yeah, Jack does a weird thing where he whips out this like remote control in the air, and suddenly he owns a Pokemon.
Yeah, he tosses this thing out, it surrounds the Pokemon, and then he's got like a remote control for it in his hand that he waves around a whole lot, and the Pokemon just becomes like under his control.
Right. Like his best friend or something. And yeah, he jumps on like a Mantine's back and it confuse rays everybody.
Ah, that's Mantine's Confuse Ray!
And it works great! That's
Such
what
a
they said.
bizarre line from the movie. While he does like a free willy over their submarine.
And Jack Reacher gets away from Fat Blackbeard. And then we get the most incomprehensible title screen that we've seen so far. It's just like a bunch of strands of DNA floating around or something.
Yeah, it just keeps zooming in until you see little cellular structures.
And I watched the whole movie, and I still don't know why that happened.
Which is, so I think this is what, like 2003, 2004 that this movie came out probably? Do you remember the superhero movies of the early aughts where it was still cool to have an opening title screen that was all a collection of images? It didn't have to do anything with the movie.
Oh, like in Spider-Man.
Yeah, like in Spider-Man or the X-Men movies. They did that for every single movie where they just start zooming in on somebody's like DNA lab results and getting deeper and deeper. And I think Pokemon was just like, well, that's what they do in movies now.
This was in 2006.
Oh, then they're way out of date.
So, then we cut to our heroes, and they're lost in...
A void.
just wandering around this, like, grassy area that is very hot, and they have no water.
Yeah,
and they're, like, literally about to
Near
die.
death.
And they all have different fucking voices, man.
It's really weird.
Yeah, I think so. It sounded to me like maybe Brock's is the same, but he's gone much deeper with it.
So
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think this movie, they actually changed all the voiced actors.
Well, so I'm also almost sure that the person that's voicing May in this movie is the old voice of Misty.
It sounds a lot like it, right?
No, I noticed that too. It does sound a lot like Misty, but there's something kind of off about it. So I think, isn't this the original May or not?
I think it's not. I think literally every
everybody?
voice
Okay.
is different, except for maybe Pikachu's voice and the narrator. Yeah. But I hate Ash's new voice.
Don't like
Hate
it.
Brock's new voice. Hate Team Rocket's new voices. Love May's voice. Neutral on Max's voice.
Big fan of the Pirate's voice.
Pirate's voice.
Favorite.
Well, so much of the voice acting in this movie just sounded like maybe the same guy doing different voices. Like, hey, I'm Kyle.
Very well be
and
true.
I'm Brock. And I'm Ash. Like, right?
Yeah, it's very possible.
So they're wandering through, they're about to die of water, and what luck? A bunch of floating balls of water appear.
Orbs of water, which they are not worried about. They're just like, oh,
this is normal.
this must be a miracle.
Well, you
run
know
towards it.
what? This happens a second time. Well, actually, multiple times throughout the movie, where bizarre, mystical things happen, and everyone just shrugs their shoulders, like, well, it happens.
I think at this point, that's reasonable, right? Like, everything, think about everything these people have been through. At this point,
Right.
if some magical shit happened in front of you, you'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's no reason to be afraid of it anymore, right?
Right. It's
Ash
like,
has died 3 times and come back to life.
well, a fourth now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when, it's like how, apologies if this is offensive to anybody, but it's like how if you're very religious, you don't question it when you hear voices in your head. 'Cause
Hey!
you're like, God must be speaking to me. Right? So there's like this. Like, they don't question it when they see floating balls of mystical water. They're like, it must be another mystical Pokemon.
I'm the chosen one, so of course this happened.
And Ash is the chosen one in this movie again.
He is. They still right here. This I don't mean to get too far ahead of us or to spoil anything, but
In case anyone's watching the movie along with the podcast.
a short time in the future in this movie, they reveal that the gang led by Ash has just stumbled upon a secret society of legendary Pokemon protectors and the seekers of the Temple of the Sea, which provides untold riches.
Which is what's happening now, right? Like
and they're posing as traveling circus performers.
Right. These floating balls of water belong to these traveling like circus performers that just suddenly are like, "Hey, come with us," and they take them in their van and start touring them around the world. But it starts with Brock losing his, and this is the direction I like Brock going in. He's still a little creepy. He's still a little horny, but they're turning him more into like this obsessive fanboy of like weird esoteric culture.
Sure. And he's also at this point he's asking for dates. He's not he's no longer asking to have a woman in his bed with him or
or have them delivered under a tree
or to touch them in some weird way.
Yeah.
He's now just like, "Oh, you're the best. You're so cool. I would love to take you out." But he's still very desperate about it. But.
And it works for him this time. Like, Max still pulls him away.
Yeah.
But it seems to work for him this time because Elizabeth, the girl he's talking to, seems to be digging Brock for the rest of the movie. Like, they're always hanging out. Getting ice cream together and stuff. And at this point in the movie, also, did you guys notice I think it improves about halfway through the movie, which I don't know how that's possible, but the animation is so bad.
Yeah.
It's like the worst animation we've seen yet.
It's real janky.
It's janky, it's stilted, it's jerky, and
the movie jumps between like hand-drawn animation and that old
like
corny
CGI.
3D CGI animation.
Do you guys notice that whoever did the CGI effects in this movie, we're so proud of it. Like every time it comes on the screen, there's this slow pan around it, and every time there's any kind of CG effect, like we get a zooming in, and like the entire scene stops and just sort of like revolves around it for a second.
They were like, put this in the movie for 40 minutes at a time.
So we get a little tour of the campgrounds for this circus, and there is a clown that has he's always like practicing juggling, and he has
like a mime
Pokemon that I don't know what the name of this Pokemon is. It looks like a giant frog, like a human-sized frog, and it goes Bob Dole, Bob Dole, Bob Dole, Bob Dole.
That's a Polytoad. Oh, wait. We also... There's a ridiculous thing that happens, which is when...
A second opening credits sequence?
There's another opening credits sequence. But when May meets one of these women, she compliments her. She's like... It's Elizabeth's mom. And she's like... Oh, you look like you could be her sister. It's like, chill out, May.
But what I like is that May is the antithesis of Misty, because Misty's always jealous and weird about other girls.
And May's like sweet and
May's like a person.
Appreciative. Yeah, but when May compliments this woman, the woman slaps her onto the ground.
Yeah.
Did you guys see this happen?
That was...
And it's cut away from and no one addresses
weird.
it. But May's like, "You're so beautiful." And the woman's like, "Stop it." And then slaps her and she falls on the ground.
She meant it in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
They're
over-enthusiastic.
traveling carnies. They're a little rough. They don't know their own strengths sometimes.
Yeah, so as they're traveling around this campground, we meet this clown. We meet Elizabeth and her mom. We meet a man named Kyle. Where they're just like, there's like, yeah, you're the famous water Pokemon trainer, Elizabeth, and you're whoever else. You're the captain of a ship or whatever. And then a guy's just like, and I'm Kyle.
They're just a bunch of old hippies. Like,
Yeah.
they seem very cool, very nice. But there's a bunch of them, and they just all look like. They manage a
they're a Willie
Sam Goody.
They're a Willie Nelson cover band.
Yeah. And then we roll credits again.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how weird this is. We already got 2 opening credit sequences, and here's a third.
And then, while they're doing this, like, but this title sequence is kind of cool. They're showing, like, the show that these carny folk put on.
Yeah.
And they're, like, have Pokemon, like, Pokemon and people in superhero outfits, like, leaping through globes of floating water. They make all our guys fly, like always. There's, like, a weird joke where a big shark eats some Pokemon and then poops them out.
Yeah, well, hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, that was actually a good gag. I like that. If you're going to watch this movie, watch up to that point because that's fun, and then you can turn it off.
Yeah, and then, like, our gang gets sucked up in these balls of water and should drown based on the amount of time they're in them, but they're fine. But also, they keep cutting back to this, like, Buweasel. This, like, little...
Yeah.
It's like this orange weasel with a floaty around its neck.
Is that what it's called? A what?
A Buweasel.
Oh, a Buweasel. So it's weasel just with "bu" in the front of it. Right. Perfect. Very creative.
They keep cutting off to this Buweasel who keeps finding what we saw earlier, that egg from earlier.
Yeah.
And
It's too curious.
It's in a little storage container, like a capsule, and they keep, like, taking it from the weasel, putting it on a shelf, and then putting a curtain in front of it. They walk away. The weasel just goes right back, opens the curtain, takes it back out. It's just like, that's like 10 minutes of the movie is stalling for time while they just keep hiding this capsule.
Like
And
yakety sax just starts playing, like...
The Buweasel keeps finding it, and May keeps going like, "What's that?" And then they're like, "Nothing," and close the curtain. And then it happens like 3 more times.
Yeah. Roll of 3s. That's how comedy works.
Then we see Team Rocket. They're like reading what I guess is a paper for criminals to read wanted ads.
It's like... It is like the what do you call it? Like a wanted poster, but for other criminals, from a criminal to a criminal.
Like, here's
I want
me, a criminal, is looking for this thing to steal.
wanted, specific treasure, dead or alive, reward.
Love, mean pirate man. And it's like, and they have a whole book of these things, and they're like, oh, hey, we should go find this thing. And they see that Ash and the gang have it. You think at this point Team Rocket would be like, all right, Ash and those people are there. Let's leave this one alone.
Let's clear it.
Let's go after. We have a whole book of these things. Let's go after another one. Like, this has never turned out well for us. But yeah, at some point, Buweasel's still like finding the egg, and he
brings it outside.
He brings it outside, and the moon hits it, and it makes May have some crazy dream, where just like in 10 to 20 minutes of the movie so far, she's just swimming, and there's a bunch of sea creatures around her, and she sees like some temple off in the distance.
But Team Rocket sees this egg, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where they call the pirate to to say, hey, we found your egg, we're going to try to go get it for you, which is the driver for the plot for this movie. If the gang doesn't show up and just make themselves a part of this traveling circus show, then the circus show gets off scot-free here. They get away with the egg.
They would have gotten the egg to where it had to go.
Yeah.
And well, Team Rocket wasn't following our gang. They were just around, right?
Oh, I don't know.
think so.
They did just kind of show up, but I assumed they showed up in the same place because they're still trying to capture Pikachu.
Because
I don't
That's what they said once a long time ago.
I think in the first episode of the TV show that we saw when we were children, and ever since then, we just assume that's why they're everywhere.
and like I said, we've questioned this before, this has been stated, but like after every other legendary Pokemon they've been through, after all of the chaos they've witnessed, They still want this particular Pikachu.
Then isn't their boss dead? Didn't we see him die in a movie?
Like, I guess that's why all of this proves the theory I made a long time ago and keep repeating. They're not actually Team Rocket, and they were sent on this weird excursion that is just a dead end for them.
Did you guys get a little excited when May had that dream and it started to feel like, oh, maybe this movie stars May instead of Ash?
Well,
because May is by far the best character.
Yeah. Well, she's like
in the Pokemon game.
Yeah. Well, she seems like a lot smarter. Just, I don't know. I like her better as a character, but she did have a prominent role, which is nice.
She had a prominent role, but not as big a role as I wanted her to.
Right.
Also, they make her go through some like fucked up stuff and then make Ash just the hero at the end.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Oh yeah, like we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes through something that would be legitimately traumatizing, and so
Team Rocket grabs the egg. They all grab it at the same time. A bright red light shines out, and
I have a note here that says Ash's new voice sucks. Continue.
And they all switch bodies.
Yeah. So, what the hell?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Let me rewind a bit, because there's something very weird here. When Team Rocket get the egg, Meowth says, "Not another egg." Why? Why did he say this?
I don't know.
There have been a few eggs, haven't there? There was that one in the Three Bird movie.
But can I mention also that up until this point, we have never had a reference to past movies. This is literally the only reference that's ever happened to any of the other films. Because it seems like everyone's memory is erased after every movie. And so apparently Meowth is the only person who remembers anything.
We have seen Mewtwo Returns, right?
Oh, Mewtwo Returns has a reference to... Yeah, that's entirely about the... But I think that's maybe a special case. So, Team Rocket's running away in their balloon, and then the clown pulls off all of his disguise, and he's like, "Guess what? It's me, Jack Walker." Well, no, what he says is, "Jack Walker. Call me Jackie, please."
Ugh. No.
He's just trying out some catchphrases.
No.
None of them are sticking quite yet.
You're a grown adult. We're going to call you Jack.
And Team Rocket, who is still... Everybody's in the wrong body. It's Jesse's consciousness in Meowth's body, and James's in... I'm going to mess it up. Anyway,
No,
no,
hold on. It was James and Meowth, Meowth and Jesse. And Jesse and James.
But they all know what a Pokemon Ranger is. Once that guy says Pokemon Ranger, if that were me, I would be like,
A what?
"What? A Pokemon Ranger?"
Yeah, that's what I was like as a viewer. What the fuck is a Pokemon Ranger?
I think so. It turns out it's the James Bond of Pokemon Masters. I think the series, or the creators or whatever, probably got bored with Ash just trying to be the best Pokemon trainer, and we're like, okay, now that he's a little more grown up, we need to set higher sights for him.
Right. Well, also there's a video game series that came out maybe around this time called Pokemon Ranger.
Well,
that's like completely... I've never played it, but it's completely different. So maybe this is like a promotional like tie-in movie. So yeah, they get the egg back, and then we get this huge info dump, right? Like they say all those hippie people are like, "Hey, we're descendants of the people of the water, and our descendants made a sea temple, and Jack Walker is working with us to get this." And he finally says the name of it, a Manaphy egg, which is super rare. He's trying to hatch it and get the Manaphy to the Pokemon, to the, what is it called? The sea temple.
Temple of the Sea.
What I do love about those little tidbits like of the plot that are just condensed into a single sentence is that they are an entire movie that's condensed into a single sentence.
Yeah. Here's the beginning, middle, and end of this movie. Now watch it.
It's great.
So yeah, like Pat said, it's just the gang stumbling into this like ancient race of magic people, and then we learn about like I guess we don't yet learn about the Prince of the Sea and the King of the Sea, but
Not
that's
quite
another
yet.
info dump later.
Right.
But instantly, Ash is like, yeah, I'm going to be a Pokemon Ranger.
Right. Well, so the pirate man shows up and they send some Beedrills after them, and they're just like running around chasing each other like a Scooby-Doo cartoon. The pirate man's trying to get the egg, and Jack and Ash and everyone are trying to keep the egg away from him, and a Beedrill tries to stab a man in the chest.
Yeah, that was fucked up. That guy would have died a very gory death.
Yeah. He blocks it with just some weird like board he's holding.
And then Jack pulls off some clever sleight of hand, gets the egg to Ash, but gets the pirate to chase him so Ash can escape with the egg. The pirate figures it out eventually. Ash passes it on to May, and then May gets cornered by the pirate. And Max, who is brutally underused in this movie and I think is a true hero, this little 5-year-old boy starts fucking up this pirate.
Start fucking wailing on him.
He jumps on the back of his head. He puts his hands in his mouth and just starts trying to tear his cheeks apart.
If you are a little kid, that is your best possible move.
Right.
Right? Like,
Kids, if you're listening right now,
like you could rip off somebody's genitals, you could poke out their eyes, or you could grab the insides of their mouth and pull on their cheeks. It wouldn't take a lot of strength,
It's
and
so
that would
hard.
hurt like so fucking bad.
yeah, and if you're a certain size too, it's so hard for them to get to that spot on your back that you would be hanging from.
That's like, yeah, that's
Max knows what he's doing. Max is going to do big things. That
a
kid.
brilliant and brutal move. It sucks that this is the last movie that we're gonna see May and Max.
Really?
Yeah, I think we have a TV special that we're gonna watch next, and after that, I think it's a whole new crew.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
I might be wrong. We might get one more, but yeah, they're fighting this pirate dude, and they drop the egg. Oh wait, we missed the part where Jack is fighting the pirate guy, and the pirate guy goes to grab him, and Jack jumps 30 feet into the air on top of a big boulder, and
After
the pirate
throwing
guy.
a ball at his head. That was move number 1 was throw a tennis ball at his head. Move number 2 was jump 30 feet in the air to get away from him.
And he lands on a boulder, and the pirate picks up the boulder. And this is going to be very important for understanding
Yeah, pay
some
attention.
Some
Here's
of what's
the
bad about
only
this
thing
movie.
that pays off in this movie.
He says, that guy's really strong. I guess he takes his vitamins.
Yeah, or it was that, or I wouldn't expect a guy like that to take his vitamins.
Yeah, okay, yes, that was the line.
Which
I wouldn't
is
expect a guy.
A
Because
weirder
they're-
way to say that.
Well, if you think that line is weird and will never come back, you're wrong. But
Yep.
also the voice actor also thought that, so you're in good company. We'll explain that later.
So weird.
But anyway, when Max and May are fighting this giant pirate guy, the egg drops, and a Manaphy pops out.
Yeah, it hatches.
And we get another tiny, cute little Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, cute little legendary Pokemon, just like Jirachi, just like Celebi, who's psychic and instantly bonds with somebody and makes an obnoxious noise because it starts
Oh my God.
crying, and it's the worst.
This is unnerving point number 2.
It only lasts for like a minute, but it's horrible.
And in the movie, they're like, "Oh, I guess they prefer you." And all I'm thinking, I seriously, I think I almost audibly said this while watching it. Like, give it back, give it back, give it back, give it back. Just stop, stop. Just give it back. Just stop it. Like, someone, just whatever you have to do, just give it what it wants.
Brock says every Pokemon that hatches, the first thing it sees, it thinks is his mother.
Like a duck.
Plus, Brock is a Pokemon breeder. Like, this can't be true. Why is he telling people that? Right? Like, isn't Pokemon are bred by humans all the time.
Right.
When you're playing like the game and you're breeding like 1,000 Pokemon to try and get like the right IVs or whatever, all of those it's their mother? That's like so unsettling. That's such an unsettling idea. And then May says, "So, I'm a mom." Slow your fucking roll, dude.
Wow.
What is she? 14, 13?
She's
14?
14. And she's like, well, ready for motherhood.
It's like, all right.
I'm a mom. No, you're not. You know you're not. Like, regardless of what Brock says that Pokemon thinks, you know you're not a mom.
Yeah.
But
This
here's
stop
the
it.
thing.
This is
but
the
here's
equivalent
the
of
thing.
being like a dog mom.
Everybody just kind of accepts that now.
They're like, yep, she's its mom.
And Max looks over and says, "Wow, must be really tough to be a mom."
And she says, "Thanks for your wisdom, Matt."
I could not tell if that was sarcastic or not.
I couldn't either.
Yeah, but either way, that's a messed up thing to say.
I know. So, we cut back to Team Rocket, and after they got thwarted earlier, they apparently landed in some old temple ruin.
Back in their own bodies.
Back in their own bodies, but that temple ruin just happens to be where the gang is going to. As pointed out by Buffett and James's new Mime Jr.
Yeah.
Mime
They got a
Jr.
little baby mime guy.
Yeah, he's mimicking Buffett the whole
Buffett.
time. It's that part's actually kind of funny too.
Yeah, that's cute. Those two still got it.
I got my vote.
So vote Mime Jr. and Buffett in the next election for
Senator.
least annoying Pokemon. Oh, or senator, whichever one you want to.
I'd say Mime Jr. would make a great senator.
Just in a debate, just mocking whatever the other person's doing.
I'm gonna get a couple of pins that say Mime Jr. 2020.
Rick Santorum's like, all gay people should be killed, and Mime Jr.'s like, blah, 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 blah.
It's gonna be perfect, and I can't wait. This country's gonna be better for it.
That works against Rick Santorum. Do you ever notice Rick Santorum's biggest political enemy in his whole career has been people making fun of him?
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
legit, like every
Well, I mean-
politician gets made fun of, but none have been owned as hard as Rick Santorum, and it
beautiful.
works on him 100% of the time.
I legitimately forgot his name the other day and had to think of the sexual act that Dan Savage named after him to remember what his name was.
That legit ruined his bid for, not that he would have won anyway, but it ruined his bid for president.
Yes.
Is that somebody made fun of him on the internet, and it was so effective that like he would talk about it in like interviews on CNN.
You would have to answer questions about it.
He tried, didn't he like publicly call out Google to get the like search results changed?
Oh, that's right. He actually did that.
So
That's
anyway,
wild.
anyway,
Holy shit.
anyway, Pokemon. Our dudes get to this temple, and since they're a magical race of old underwater people or whatever, they have magic bracelets that help them get through like the magic locks in this temple. And they're going through this weird flooded ruin, and the Pirate Man is following them, and Team
Yes.
Rocket's following them.
Team Rocket called the pirate dude again.
Right. And then we find out all about this temple. The Sea Temple is where Manaphy goes
Good luck.
to summon the water. The water people used to go to the Temple of the Sea to hold a festival during the eclipse. And by the way, there's never an eclipse again in this. There's never an eclipse in this movie.
Okay, so they
yeah.
keep saying total eclipse of the moon, and by that I think they just mean the new moon, like the opposite of a full moon.
But there is no moon in this movie.
Which I guess maybe I'm no scientist, but is the new moon, is that the Earth being between the sun and the moon? Is that why we can't see the moon on those nights?
Pat, that's no moon.
Oh no.
Sorry. Listen, I have no idea.
Tweet at us. Tweet at us and let me know how the moon works.
Are you a scientist? Hey guys, are you a scientist? Are you a moon scientist? All moon scientists, please reply to us.
Moonologist.
If you're, are you
this on the moon?
moonologist?
So listen,
Moonostrono?
it doesn't matter because this never appears in the movie. It's never even like nighttime again. Like there's no moon.
So on the lunar eclipse.
Oh my god. Okay.
Wait, I'm gonna try to get this. Manaphy will guide the Pokemon of the water to the Temple of the Sea and
For a festival.
and rise it from the ocean for the crown of the sea to be available, and whoever wears the crown of the sea is the king of the ocean.
Yes.
Right?
Why? What?
Did
Really?
I get that right?
I don't fucking know.
Nobody knows.
That's what happens in the movie, but I don't think that's what they describe here, is it? It doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, we find out the name of the pirate. His name is Phantom. The Phantom. Captain Phantom or whatever.
The Phantom Pirate.
The Phantom and they say he's one mean dude, and then we see him be a mean dude because he yells at Team Rocket.
He is one mean dude.
Yeah.
He's so cool though.
We find so our heroes, they escape through some underwater passage. Yeah, because they want to go to the Temple of the Sea to protect the sea crown.
Yeah, they go through a secret passage and into like their own temple,
why?
but it's
Why?
not the Temple of the Sea.
To protect it? Ash,
Ashley?
I
why
don't
they
know.
do this?
I'm not
Yeah,
entirely sure.
why are they going?
Why do they do this?
Just because that's all they have left, I guess.
because they know that they're being filmed? Anyway, they go get ice cream. And Jack Walker's like, you can't come with us. This is a Pokemon Ranger job only. So they leave our
Okay.
gang on the shore until some randos are like, don't let them leave without you.
I mean-
Adventures are good to be on.
No, like, as you're young, you don't want regrets. Go, jump in the ship.
These a group of 12-year-olds. Like,
Yeah.
why aren't you just leaving on this boat with those strangers?
No.
That told you not to.
But here's the thing. Not only all of that, the boat has left the dock, guys. It is out there. And they're like, I would grab it if
get
I
it.
were you. And they're like,
That's
you know
what-
what? You're right. And so they just start tearing it down the dock. I don't know what they're planning on doing.
What their plan is, Ashley, you live in New York.
Yes.
Have you ever been standing on a platform, just missed the train, and just a man...
Just start tearing off. Well, a better
Is
analogy.
a man standing on the platform's like, go get it. Where's your sense of adventure?
But yeah, exactly. Not even that, but like, imagine like the ferry left. Okay, so like I'm taking the ferry to Staten Island, and the ferry leaves without me, and I'm like, God damn it! And somebody next to me is like, you know, you already paid for your ticket. You're like, you know what? You're right, and just beat it down the dock and jump in the ship as hard as I can.
It works
the
out
boat.
for our gang, thankfully, because Manaphy switches Jack and Ash's brains.
This is the best part, guys. I loved this part because they switch Jack and Ash, and suddenly they're like, what's going on? And Jack now, who is Ash, runs to the top and starts looking at his body leaving on the boat with everybody that he's supposed to be on. It is not anymore. It is in the body of somebody he just met. And a child. A mystical, he's been replaced in someone else's body. And he looks at the boat and says, what are you going to do?
Right.
Which is my favorite line in this entire movie. He's like, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
And then there's a cutscene, and they're all just on the boat.
They're all on the boat, and I guess it does turn night. I guess it does turn night because there's this scene where Manaphy is singing a worse song than May's Lullaby, even.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, Manaphy, Manaphy. It's like something like that.
This kid grew up fast.
And it gathers all the Pokemon around it, and we find out that Manaphy is the Prince of the Sea. And then May teaches it to say happy.
Right.
And they make May release Manaphy, which doesn't mean anything because it's with them for the entire rest of the movie. They follow it and they're like with it, but it's like this tearful goodbye.
Like, you have to let it go.
And it's like, it'd be like if you were holding your dog and somebody's like, no, it's time to let that dog go, and you put it down to walk next to you.
Yeah, it's still on a leash.
Yeah. So they follow this Manaphy to the temple. They get that to the temple. There's a lot of traveling scenes. There's like
there's one moment. It's a lot of just swimming and fish and a boat going through a bunch of fish. But there is one moment where their boat is going through the ocean, and Max looks out the window and sees a fish and says, "It's just like the aquarium." Somebody took Max to the aquarium but didn't teach him what the aquarium was for.
So, at one point they moor the ship and they go swimming, like they always do in every movie. They stop their incredibly important adventure to go swimming in every movie.
Yeah, Manaphy has a biological imperative to instinctually find this temple, but knows that there's time to take a break to swim.
One of those anime pervert things where they just want to draw people in bathing suits.
You know what? They put May in a very skimpy bikini, and not by accident. It wasn't just like,
right,
this is what girls wear for bathing suits. This was like intentionally, we're seeing this young girl, and I mean, they're movies for 12-year-olds, but still.
But it also,
yes, to answer your question, yes.
It's also the second movie in a row where, like, last movie they put May in a bathing suit, and they did a pan up her legs to her
That's right,
face.
they did that.
They did like a pan from her feet up to her face to show her in a bathing suit. Now they don't linger on her too long in any of these scenes, so that's good at least. But I wonder if they don't linger on her because they cut out like 5 minutes of May in a bikini because a producer was like, "Dude, you can't do that."
Here's the thing too. Like I expected when that did happen, I expected Brock to be like have this epiphany of like, oh, I'm attracted to May, or something. But
no, Brock.
Yeah.
Brock doesn't like girls that he hangs out with, I guess.
I guess not.
He doesn't like May. He doesn't like Misty.
Well,
he doesn't like Jessie.
He doesn't like women when he gets to know them. That's what happens.
Women are objects to him,
Yeah.
and if they have personalities, he's like, not for me.
Yeah, exactly. But if they
That's why, like,
the second they
Nurse
have an
Joy
opinion,
is his
he's
favorite.
like, nah.
So, they go swimming, and Jack tells Ash this story about how he became a Pokemon Ranger. Is like he was a boy about Ash's age, wandering through the Arctic for some reason. Without a jacket, and he almost freezes to death.
Wandered into it.
He almost. Well, I wonder if it's like that's what would. Remember that kid in that previous movie who had like researcher scientist parents?
Yeah,
And they let him wander off into the tundra. I wonder if that was like their long lost other son. They're like, let's try again, and then they had the second kid. So Jack is wandering, all by himself at 12 years old through the Arctic tundra, and he almost freezes to death until a bunch of like 100 Pokemon gather around him.
Like hot water bottles.
That's
like
what he says.
Hundreds of hot water bottles.
He says, like a bunch of hot water bottles. Guys, that's how a serial killer would refer to another living creature. It's like...
Okay.
They're like a warm bottle of liquid. And he says, that's how I became a Pokemon Ranger. And then Ash is like, maybe I'll be a Pokemon Ranger too. Mid-conversation, runs away, jumps off the ship into the water.
Yeah. He stops, he braces his fists, he shakes for a second, and then he jumps on the bow and just dives.
And I bet, like, Jack is standing there like, dude,
all right.
I was talking to you. I was telling you my most vulnerable memory.
But what was
dude.
funny is right after he said that memory, Ash looks at him and says, "Cool story," and then just he literally says, "Cool story," and then he shakes and then runs off, and I love it so much.
That's kind of like talking to a 12-year-old, though, right? Is they
cool
ask
story,
you a
bro.
question, you explain something you're proud of, and then they go, "Oh, cool, but I could probably do it better," and then run off in the other direction.
And that's also just like what Ash is like as a person.
Yeah.
That's what he'll be as an adult. He's not a good guy.
May and Ash both jump into the water and are swimming, but then they're underwater for like a good 8 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that happens all throughout this movie. Everybody is underwater for long. Like, if you tried to hold your breath for the amount of time the characters are underwater in any of those scenes, you would pass out.
So it bothered me a lot. It was very distracting that they had been holding their breath for this
There's
long.
so many more scenes here of just them being underwater and it taking too long.
Yeah.
Again, I swear you could cut 40 minutes out of this movie if you
It's amazing.
if you cut those out. But anyway, then May teaches the Manaphy to say "I love you" because she's fucking weird and creepy.
Yeah, she's spooning with it.
Yeah, it turns weird. Like it goes beyond a mother figure to
Yeah.
It gets to like a psycho style.
Yeah, to
Yes,
I need you.
a psychotic attachment.
Say you love me.
Say
Say you love me.
Say it.
Remember that scene
Say-
Say it.
Remember
Say May, I love you.
Remember that scene where she hobbles the Manaphy and chains it to a bed? So we find out that the pirate guy's following them, and Team Rocket are planning to betray him and steal the treasure for themselves. Whatever. And then Elizabeth gives May one of her weird People of the Water bracelet.
Right.
God, yeah, and I have a note here. A lot must happen that I stopped paying attention to because because I have it like this movie is very beautiful. Like the animation changes at some point because it starts
does.
to get very pretty.
Yeah, it picks up.
And what I have written here is this looks beautiful, but it's so boring. And I put like 19 O's in boring. I must have just been sitting there hitting the O key on my keyboard because I didn't want to watch what was happening on the screen.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. I remember
Right.
making note about that. It was very, very pretty.
And then another one of these weird, like you're talking about, Ashley, where it seems like they just threw the pages to a script all over the floor and shuffled them back together. Like, Ash takes out all his Pokemon and they just start partying and then jumping around. And it's like, why is this happening?
I'll let them all out. And then throws them.
And then May loses her scarf and Manaphy goes to chase it and then
Wait, I'm sorry. Just before we
Yeah.
go down that rabbit hole, did Ash's Bulbasaur die?
No.
What?
I think, every time a new game comes out, they make Ash put his old Pokemon away and get new Pokemon. So I guess his Bulbasaur's, like, with Professor Oak or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah.
But this is also a really bad habit that Ash has, where he's just like he gets overexcited and says, you know, let all my Pokemon out.
Yeah. Last time it was at
Whoever it
a
is.
royal party.
In somebody's house.
This time it's on somebody else's boat. Somebody
Not
else's
even like
small
someone's house,
boat.
it's like a royal ball.
Yeah, he doesn't ask anyone if he can
No,
do it.
he
He's
just
just like,
does it.
I'll let all my Pokemon... Well, now he says, I'll let all my Pokemon out.
I'll let all my Pokemon out.
So, yeah, then May loses her scarf, and Manaphy goes and chases it, and they chase Manaphy in a weird submarine because they're like, he's been gone for too long. And then there's this completely unearned moment where May's like, is it because of the way I treated him? And when did she treat Manaphy bad?
Yeah,
they
not
just
in a way
made
that
that up.
Manaphy would understand, at least. Like, she's being a little, maybe, overprotective, but...
Like I said,
Like-
there's a psychotic attachment right now. This is a sociopath.
Yeah, but Manaphy's living in it. Like, there's Matt's right that there's no moment where, like, they have an argument and Manaphy runs away. Manaphy is literally
What I'm
doing
saying-
this
what
just
I'm
to
saying
get
is-
something back for May that May
Right,
lost.
and
Yeah,
their
but what
last
I'm saying-
interaction
yeah.
was them just like swimming next to each other.
Yeah.
There was no conflict.
That's what I'm saying, though, is that she has this anxiety disorder now because she's because she's overly attached to something that called her mom once.
But this is which she made call her mom. So
she
this
told
is
to say I love you.
this is where I started thinking about maybe, and I could be completely off base here, but this is where I started thinking that maybe I'm watching these movies wrong, right? I'm expecting a story and scenes and like whatever, but a story and scenes that make sense in context and like something to keep me entertained. But maybe at this point, like 7 things have happened in a row that all don't connect to each other. So I'm wondering if these movies are more about just like stringing together interesting or beautiful scenes that you're supposed to just like absorb atmospherically.
Well, here's the thing. You have to you have to remember these are made for children, and not just children like of a certain age, but it's trying to appeal to several ages at a time. So you have to keep it interesting and keep attention going. So one way to do that when dialogue fails, is to just pump it full of color and interesting scenes and
right.
movements.
So while the scenes of some ridiculous plot happening are the scenes for the older kids, and the scenes for like the little kids are all the ones that we just saw, just a bunch of Pokemon dancing around
where
and stuff.
things just like they look nonsensical. It's just to like, hey kids, wake up, wake up. No, leave mom alone. Come back.
But we're all in agreement that is the fucking wrong way to make entertainment for kids, right?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that.
Sugar.
But it's like that. You guys maybe haven't seen the Johnny, Are You Eating Sugar video?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. So it's like that kind of stuff, where it's like it's baseless, no substance, just empty garbage that you put your kids in front of just to get them out of your hair.
This is like a heinous example of that, though.
I think they also, as a lot of it is just about promoting the product. So
The more they can show.
during
True.
the television show, they'll run a commercial where they're like, "Oh, you better catch the new Pokemon movie. Who knows what legendary Pokemon could show up?" And like that's what these kids get excited about, is just
True.
the expansion of the universe.
So in the show can focus a little bit more on story because they have commercials to cut to.
Never want to find out. I don't know.
But the movies have to integrate their commercials into the actual narrative by just showing you a bunch of Pokemon and making you go, "Oh, I want to catch that one."
Yeah.
Better buy the 6th version of this video game so you can catch this one Pokemon that we left out.
But every now and then there's like a scene or a movie that is like, "Oh, this one was kind of good." But some of them are so fucking bad.
Exactly once that's happened.
Okay, so their submarine gets pulled away by a riptide. They find Manaphy. Manaphy leads them to the temple. The Phantom follows them. Jack somehow is outside of the ship now, and he catches a Mantike with his little magic lasso remote, and they're all at the temple. Anyway, a bunch of shit happens. They're all at the temple.
Yeah, a lot
None
of
of it
just
matters.
moving through water.
Right.
And they're all at the temple, and that's what matters.
And then there's like this scene where Manaphy has to sing at a waterfall and they have to do some crazy shit to open a door. All they're doing is going through a door. Yeah. And it takes like 45 seconds to 2 minutes to go through a door. And it's like, that's why this movie is so fucking long. Anyway, we finally get to, so everybody, all of them eventually get through this temple to the sea crown.
Which you could not possibly wear on your head.
It's just a rock with a bunch of crystals jutting out of it.
And it's huge. It's like 8 feet wide.
Right. And if the sea crown is just like a shard of glass, there's like 20 of them in it. Why does it matter? So the Phantom takes one of the shards of glass out of the sea crown, or the shard of glass is the sea crown. It's kind of unclear.
Yeah, we're not sure.
And Manaphy starts his obnoxious crying again, and the temple starts filling up with water and sinking.
Yeah, each time Pirate Phantom removes one of the crystals, a new hole opens up that water starts pouring into. Everybody starts panicking.
Right, and it's like, oh no, the temple's sinking, and we're like, oh no, wait, why do we care? Why do we care about any of this? None of this has any bearing on anything in the world.
There's actually a really weird moment here. There is one moment that kind of clicked with me, and I was like, oh, that's nuts that they're making this choice, where Walker Pokemon Ranger hasn't shown up at the temple yet. Like, he's still swimming through the water, and the Phantom is just removing crystals left and right. There's nothing they can do to stop him. So they're just like, we got to get out of here. There's no, I guess we can't stop the bad guy.
alone.
So instead of just saying, who cares? We're going to go for it, live or die or whatever. They're like, no, we have to give up. We have to retreat. There's no other choice. And they start running away.
But there's no stakes in there. Right?
That's true. Yeah, who knows what happens
who
if
cares
the temple...
about an ancient temple sinking to the bottom of the ocean?
It's already in the bottom of the ocean.
So Johnny Walker Black Label is like, he's like, you guys go. I'm gonna stop the Phantom. And Jack starts Phantom's pulling out all these glass shards. And Jack is like jumping around and putting them back in. And it feels less like a scene in a movie and more like how you like a Nintendo boss. Like the Nintendo boss at the end of the water level.
Yeah, it's like a Looney Tunes fight where Jack is just jumping around in circles, and the pirate's just getting super frustrated and going, I'll kill ya!
And it's just like, he takes one out, and then Jack puts it back in. It's like, so crazy. So then they both fall into the water, and one of the crystals drops. Like, they lose one of the crystals.
Yeah, so every crystal is back in the place where it should be, except for this one that just gets taken away with the current.
Not yet. A couple of them are in a bag.
Okay.
And then there's a scene here where Phantom looks up at all the water pouring in, and he goes, so it is sinking. He was right. Another moment that has no like, it doesn't change his motivation. He's like, whatever. And then I had a hard time trying to figure out what happens here. Some people escape, but some people...
Okay, so the gang starts running out of the temple, and Brock and Max and
Elizabeth
make it out, but Ash and
Jack.
May... Well, Jack is separate here. He's fighting...
No, but then he's in the...
Right. He gets on the boat.
I don't know how he got there so fast, especially when he fell in the water just like the pirate did.
Ash and May are like, no, we can save this place. It is up to us. And they turn around and start just running back into the temple
with
to try
Manaphy.
To figure something out. And tell the others to leave. And they don't have a choice. They're like, yeah, we got to go.
And then Team Rocket's about to escape on something. And
it turns out Team Rocket has snuck into the temple behind Phantom Pirate. And they try to escape in Phantom's Black Ops helicopter submarine. But Phantom sees them and pulls them out at the last moment. So they get their blasting off moment underwater. Presumably they drown.
Well, I find out where because you didn't watch the ending credits. I know where they are.
Oh.
Dead
at the bottom of the ocean?
It shows their
Nice.
corpses bloated and being eaten by fish.
So Phantom starts getting in the submarine, but the water comes in too quick. So he gets kind of knocked around, and Jack Walker is just flipping around in this drowning temple and knocks him out of the way and steals his submarine.
Okay, so Jack Walker's in a submarine. Brock, Elizabeth, and Max are in a different submarine, and they all leave May and Ash behind to die.
Exactly.
Okay. So Ash and May are running. They find the crystals, and they put them back in the thing, and they're like, we're missing one. So they start running around this temple looking for the final crystal, just hoping, I guess, to run across it, which...
I'm just wondering why this is always what's going on, is where you have to have a certain amount of crystals to do a thing. Like,
Yeah,
in every movie, you have to have there's always like a certain number of crystals, and you're always one short.
Right? And who designed this temple that this thing wouldn't function if this crystal, which is super easy to pull out, gets pulled out?
Boss, are you sure? Like, you don't want to, I don't know, have something more functional, like when you're...
Nah, crystals. Nah, crystals,
Do you
they look cool.
understand, though, that if one of them is missing, this entire place could self-destruct? Do you know that?
Yeah, but like, it's cool.
Right, but
Look at
if you're
it.
going, if you insist on having a self-destruct option of the entire temple, I would suggest that you would have maybe more than
Okay,
3.
fine. We'll put it in the ocean.
that's-
No one will get to it if it's in the ocean.
What I meant exactly. It's just... you know what? I'm just the contractor. Fuck it.
Build the temple, put it in the ocean, it'll work out. So, they run around hoping they'll just stumble across this crystal that they have no idea where it is, and
Of course.
they do. And Ash finds this, like, little metal capsule.
Yeah, that I guess the Phantom left
No,
behind?
Team Rocket left it behind.
Team Rocket left behind? Oh, right. It's what they
Stowed
smuggled
away
themselves
in.
But they're running back with the crystal. Apparently, it's very heavy. And Ash, they're like on this platform that's the place is starting to fill with water. And Ash is like, oh my God, what do we do? He's got to swim down to the bottom of, like, just under this platform where they are, so that he can put the crystal back in the crown, which is completely underwater now. And it's, I guess, in the interest of protecting May and Pikachu and, what's his name? Manaphy. He shuts them in this metal canister and leaves them
To sink to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, just I guess absolutely sure that he's going to complete his mission without dying, but
But if you don't, dude,
everybody's dead.
yeah, you just
Why
sealed
would you
your
just let
friends
them
in a
leave?
tomb. Yeah. So Jack Reacher surfaces and he's like, and they're like, May and Ash haven't come back yet. And he's like, what the? You know, dude, don't fucking play dumb with me.
That's his line too. Is what the?
And don't play dumb with us, you piece of shit. You left them behind to die. We all know it. So Ash drowns to death.
That's real. That's not
Yeah.
us making it up. Ash is trying to put the crystal into the right spot, and he drowns. He opens his mouth. He inhales a lungful of water.
And he
After having been underwater for like an hour and a half straight.
finally drowns.
He just drowns.
And it's very grim. His body is
It's
limp,
just-
his eyes are closed, and he's just floating to the top of the water with his mouth wide open.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, May is going, Ash, please hurry. Because she knows she's about to die
'Cause
stuck
she's
in a
trapped.
metal canister at the bottom of the ocean.
That's gotta be traumatizing,
That's
right?
a coffin. That's a,
Yeah. But then somehow Manaphy glows pink, and then Ash comes back to life, and
Yeah, it's not even so. They established twice in this movie that Manaphy's power is to switch consciousnesses between bodies.
so when he started glowing pink, what I thought he was going to do is he was going to switch Ash and May.
Yeah, so
So
because
Ash-
I guess May isn't drowned.
Yes,
so she
exactly. I thought that's the sort of logic they were going for. So Ash wakes up in the container and is like, oh boy, I almost drowned, and spits water out of May's body. And then May is like, I've got a full lungful of air. I brought it with me.
Pause. Yes. This is not how bodies work. You don't switch consciousnesses.
the logic that they do go with isn't that far off here.
Because it's just She tells him, like, he psychic projects her saying, "Don't give up," and he's like, "Okay, I'm back alive now."
cool.
I'm no longer drowned.
And he swims down, he grabs the crystal, he floats up, puts it in, and everything's fixed.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
good. Oh, it's very good.
The water temple goes back to normal. All the Pokemon, every water Pokemon shows up. The temple raises out of the air, and May comes out of her death pod.
Water coffin.
But then the Phantom appears, and he steals Manaphy, and he runs away because we have to have another.
Never over.
Yeah.
We got 3 endings.
Yeah, he's.
Just steals Manaphy. He runs up, he steals Manaphy, and then he says, now that I've got you, I can find the Temple of the Sea whenever I want. And he's standing in the Temple of the Sea.
You're there.
But all right, dude, it doesn't work out for him.
Because-
Everybody's just pissed and has
Tired.
plenty of Pokemon.
So Ash rockets out of the temple. He's a magic boy now.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. So Ash is now the king of the sea.
Ash.
Because, okay, when you wear the crown, you become the king of the... And no one's wearing the crown. That doesn't make sense. But because Ash put the crystals back in the crown, he becomes the king of the sea. Now, I want to do a simple arithmetic here. Manaphy is the prince of the sea. Ash is the king of the sea. May is Manaphy's mom.
So she must be the queen of the sea.
Ash and May are married.
Must be.
Yep, makes sense.
The only way to have a kid.
Yeah. Ash and May are married.
Perfect.
Because the bastard son of the king wouldn't be prince.
Right?
Yeah, I guess that's
I mean,
true.
it all makes sense.
Yeah,
to
so
me.
I'm right.
Prince
Right,
of the
yeah.
Sea.
So I'm right.
That-
Guys, can you both say I'm right?
You're right.
You're right.
Thanks.
So
No,
Ash
can you say
is,
I love you? Say I love you.
Yeah, say I love you. Call me mama.
I love you back.
And tell me you're happy. So Ash is a magic boy and he's flying around.
So I guess being king of the sea means that you get engulfed by these
Yellow
tentacles
tendrils.
of light that fly you around all over the place.
Yeah.
And he starts flying after the Phantom.
It's amazing because he's not like doing a Superman pose. He's not like moving around at all. He's just standing stark still, hands at his side, blank expression on his face, and he's flying around in a yellow plume of water. And me and Pat were like, "Oh, please do a punch. I want to see him do a punch. I want to see him punch the
Yeah.
pirate man." But he never does a
Never
punch.
You know
doesn't.
why though?
He's a king
He's
now.
a king, but May's around also. May calmed him down.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what gets me about this? What really bugs me is, and I brought this up briefly, but they put May through the process of becoming a mother and then having to separate herself from her child for the child's own good, and her reward for that is Ash becomes the king of the sea.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That sucks.
Yeah,
So much
Everyone
sucks.
else's hard work, and Ash is always the god. So, but you know, he's
So Ash
Does
manages
nothing.
to dance around
Yeah.
the pirate a whole bunch because he doesn't know how to land a clean punch. I guess we already knew that.
right. So he just starts and he does nothing. The fact that he's got these magic powers affects absolutely nothing because the pirate gets into his big crazy ship.
And starts to get away. Although they are able to get Manaphy.
Oh, they get
back,
Manaphy
right?
away from him.
They get Manaphy away from him, but then he starts getting away, and at that point, Walker Pokemon Ranger is like, all right, just fucking kill them all.
Yeah, he tells the he tells the Pokemon to attack the ship.
And who is it? Who's the one that lets out that like big old bolt? It's
Kyogre.
one of those whales, right?
So we see a legendary Pokemon. I get so Manaphy's a mythical Pokemon. I keep using the word legendary when I mean to say mythical. Jirachi, Manaphy, Celebi, Mew. They're all mythical Pokemon. Kyogre is a legendary Pokemon. Remember when we met Groudon, but we never met the real Groudon, just like that fake thing? Kyogre's the yang to Groudon's yin.
Ying, you mean?
Like Groudon's the spirit of the land and Kyogre's spirit of the water.
Okay, I got you.
So Kyogre shoots this giant fire blast, I think it's called Origin Beam or something, into Phantom's ship, and it explodes.
While Manaphy rides on this Kyogre's back like Slim Pickens in Doctor Strangelove.
Oh,
Slim
right.
Pickens in Doctor
Yeah,
Strangelove.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about Doctor Strangelove, but I've never seen it.
Neither
So I didn't
have
know the
I.
character.
Man.
I didn't know that's
Guys,
where the name
are you
of-
kidding? That is see Doctor Strangelove, both of you.
No, we have
I-
20 more Pokemon movies.
Dude, I watch Pokemon movies exclusively.
It's a Pokemon movie.
Oh, is it?
Peter Sellers is one of the oldest Pokemon.
Oh yeah, and there's a bunch of Pokemon attacking the Phantom ship before that. He uses a confuse beam to make them confused, but Manaphy's songs calm them down, so whatever.
Yeah, really, it doesn't matter.
Kyogre blasts the ship, everyone dies, except for the Phantom, who is holding up the ship now. And his clothes fall off, and we find out he's wearing a mech suit. Remember way earlier, remember an hour ago in this podcast, when we said that the pirate picked up a boulder, and the
Ranger,
Pokemon
Jack
Walker.
Walker Power Ranger.
When Jack Walker, the Power Ranger, said he doesn't look like a guy who'd take his vitamins.
Just something weird. You wouldn't expect a guy like that to take his vitamins or something similar.
Right. So way back then, and we were like, why does this guy have super strength? This is fucked up. We find out he's wearing a mech suit.
Yeah.
Bruck calls it out too. He used the term mech suit. That was cool.
Yeah, and then the voice actor must have recorded these lines way separate from each other and forgot the setup to this joke, because he says, what he means to say is, I didn't think he looked like a guy that took his vitamins. But what he says is, I didn't think he looked like a guy who took his vitamins.
Yeah, I didn't think he looked like a guy who took his vitamins.
Right? Like, what?
Did you forget that you set up this joke? I know it was a long time ago.
So the voice actor reading the script is like, forgets the setup, but thinks that in that moment, his character is seeing a man in a mech suit and going, oh wow, that must mean he takes vitamins.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how he delivered it. I love it. I love it so much.
So
It was obvious that
and
his
then,
direction was like, I want you to use inflection on one of the words. And he was like, I don't know which one. I didn't think he was the guy who took his vitamins.
And then that's it.
Everyone
Ash is just, as far as we know, moving forward, Ash is the king of the sea.
Ash is now the king of the sea, and he's a time warrior, and he's the chosen one, and he's the master of every, like, what is he? We should sometime in our next watch through, we should start creating a list
all the titles that he's acquired.
of all the titles. So like Daenerys Stormborn, Breaker of Chains. He is like
Ash Ketchum, chosen one,
king
of the sea.
Dude.
Imagine him going down to town like, I'm king of the sea, and people are just like, all right, yeah,
okay, dude.
good job, buddy.
So, and because it's the end of a Pokemon movie, everyone can fly.
Yeah, Ash gives his King of the Sea flying power to all his friends so they can all streak across the sky for a few minutes.
We're all King of the Sea now!
Extend this movie by another 6 minutes.
Alright, so... yeah, okay. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was gonna say the ship falls on the pirate man, and Jack. We see Jack standing there watching the guy slowly get crushed to death.
Yeah, he's bleeding out.
Because we even see him breathe his last breath. We see him go like,
Yeah, his last line, I forget the lines before it, but his very last line in the movie is, "Blah."
But doesn't he also yell out, "I'm not the type of guy who would get crushed"?
That's his last line. You're right. 'Cause
What?
The whole
he yells
time
out-
he was like, "There's two type of people in this movie: one that sucks and one that's cool, and I'm the one that's cool."
Oh,
Like,
yeah, he says that so many times.
So his last one is, "There's two types of people in this movie: people who get crushed and people who don't. And I don't think I'm the kind of guy to get crushed." Blah.
And then
And
he gets
he's
crushed.
literally
And he's dead.
He's literally dead while Jack just stands there laughing
No,
about it.
actually,
It's like,
guys,
holy
technically, do you guys
shit.
remember the part where Jack comes back? He's not crushed to death. Like they lift the pillar off the dude.
Oh, is that during the credits?
It may have been, but like he's
Well,
not
me and
actually
Pat
dead, 'cause I was
wandered
like, yeah,
away
they
because
can't
we were
actually
like-
kill someone in a Pokemon.
Me and Pat wandered away during the credits because we were like, fuck, that was long.
It may have been, but they
We went to Wawa.
Jack somehow picks the pillar off of him or something, but he's not actually crushed to death. Like he's just like gets pushed to the ground really far.
I thought Jack's only superpower was he could jump 30 feet into the air, and he does that 4 times.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's his whole role in the movie. Oh, yeah, Jack talks to his HQ again.
All right.
You're just like, "Hey, we're good."
Hey, we did it. And they're like,
He
"What the
says,
fuck?"
"Mission accomplished."
And then there's another.
then-
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
I spent a few minutes trying to figure out what that mission was. What was it that he set out to do?
Oh, it
originally
was.
here?
Hold on. No, we found out earlier. It was take the Pokemon to the. Make sure it hatches and get it to the Temple of the Sea for some reason.
Isn't
Well, we did it.
I feel like without human interference, that all would have happened.
Would have happened anyway. Yeah. So then we get another tearful goodbye with a legendary Pokemon, like always. And then Manaphy suddenly can just speak in full sentences, and he's like, "I love you, Mama. I love you, May." It's like, this is creepy. I don't want to see this part.
We're never gonna see this Pokemon again either.
No. Well,
May, you're never seeing this Pokemon.
well, it's
again.
like every movie, right? They make friends with a Pokemon, and they decide they're in love with it. Like Jirachi and Max, or
Yeah.
like Ash and everyone, or Sam and Celebi.
Or Mewtwo in the world.
So, like, they make friends with a mythical Pokemon, and then they have to say goodbye to it, and they cry, and they're like, "But it'll always be with me." But May said something really mature here. Max was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "No, but I will be."
Yeah, but
Which was a like really sweet line to
Yeah.
end the movie on.
it was a really.
It
sweet
is.
line.
It's from like the perspective of it's okay to not be okay. I think that's a sweet line. That's a fucked up thing to say to your 5-year-old brother.
He's smart enough to handle
Wait.
it. Max is the second most mature person in
Yes,
this
it's
movie.
very
That's
true.
Well, Kyle
the
seemed
most mature being.
Kyle seemed like he had a good head on his shoulders. That's the movie. Also, you wanted to know what happened to Team Rocket. No, you didn't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. They got eaten by a
Oh,
whalemer.
good.
There's a moment
Are
where
they alive in its stomach?
yeah, you can see their eyes like Looney Tune characters. You can see just their eyes, and you're like, where are they? And then suddenly they get shot out of its blowhole, which is not
That's pretty cool.
actually how whales work, though. But
You know.
Well, that's not a whale, Matt. It's a
Pokemon.
whale mer.
right, I guess its gills lead to its stomach. Then you're right. You're right, Pat. It does make a lot of sense. The biology of this creature. So that was that fucking movie. How do you guys feel about it?
I feel pretty bad. I
Yeah.
feel like I've wasted a lot of time today.
That one felt like painful.
Yeah.
It was so long and so full of nothing.
Ashley, how you feeling?
My favorite movie I've ever seen.
Is this the new? Okay, well, let's do rankings.
I think
'cause,
this is like the new Citizen Kane. I'm so slap happy right now.
Let's I'm putting this at the bottom of my list.
Oh shit, Pat, are you okay?
My chair broke.
Pat's chair broke. We
Under me.
won't. We'll take that out of the
this
podcast.
is embarrassing.
He's just sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yes.
Are you sure?
My pride is hurt. A chair just collapsed under me.
Okay, Okay, let's wrap up and we'll check.
Please refer to my rankings from last week, except put this at the bottom.
Okay. Is this below? Okay. I'll give Pat a pass on this one. But is this below Pokemon 2000?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was way prettier
It was really
than
pretty.
Pokemon 2000. But I guess Pokemon 2000 was intensely boring and pointless, but only an hour and 15 minutes, while this one is intensely boring and pointless and was an hour and 45 minutes.
Exactly.
Ashley, let's hear your rankings.
Oh, no.
Pat's excused, but me and you aren't.
Okay. Oh, God.
Because his chair collapsed.
Sorry.
He's been through enough.
Oh, can we, like, have a blooper reel where we keep that? Okay.
I'm going to keep that in now.
Good.
Pat said I can keep that in, so I'm keeping it in.
Okay. What did I say one was? My favorite?
It doesn't matter, just...
Okay, fine. Lucario, Celebi, Entei, I don't know. I can't remember anything I've watched. This one's gonna be at the bottom.
Yeah.
2000 is above that one.
Yeah.
Mewtwo Strikes Back is above that one. The aunts and uncles is in the middle. Oh shit! Come on.
Aunts and uncles.
Onsicles?
What's the
Oh, Latios
Yes.
and Latias.
that one? Shit! What other ones did we watch?
I can't remember any of the other
don't-
movies.
and that's all I remember. The end.
What was the one with the technology city?
Technology City?
That was Lucario, right?
Oh, the Mystery
No.
of Mew
No.
would be 4, maybe.
Lucario is
I
the
know, I
mystery
said
of Mew.
Lucario, that's right.
Yeah.
No, the one with the technology city.
That's Jirachi.
With Rayquaza
Oh, right.
and Deoxys, Destiny
I always
Deoxys.
forget
We
that
forgot this one
That's
last
the
time.
we forget
that's 6.
each ranking.
Okay. I think you named them all.
Jirachi is 3. No, 4. No, wait.
Okay. My number 1 is Lucario. Number 2 is Celebi. Number 3 is Deoxys. Number 4, it's got the hot dog robot, and it's got the Jessie rubbing her butt on the
Ew.
robot, and all the robot stuff, and the Snorlax that they kill. Then Spell of the Unknown, then first movie, then Heroes, Latios and Latias, then Mewtwo Returns, then I'm
Go, come on,
2000.
we don't have
Then-
much time. Come on, let's go.
I know. Then 2000. Then this movie. I know I missed at least 2 in there. But yeah, this movie's at my. No, shit. This movie I think was more entertaining than 2000, but this movie was longer than 2000. They're like tied for last
Okay.
because there's bad and good things about.
Cool.
I don't know.
Red.
Fuck it.
Awesome.
Forget it.
Great.
Listen, guys. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't yet, please check out our. We dropped a holiday special.
The Merry
It's
Worst.
weird.
It's called The Merry Worst, where we dissect the Pokemon Christmas album, Pokemon Christmas Bash. And just search in iTunes for The Merry Worst.
Things get weird.
MERRY.
It's really great.
I think it's a lot of fun. Please review this show and that show. Share them. Tell your friends. Follow us on Twitter at The Very Worst Pod.
What you can do is you buy your family an iTunes gift card, and since this costs money to
It
download,
costs money now.
you give this podcast or get the Merry Worst as your gift for your family this year.
If you didn't pay for this,
Yeah, what the fuck are
then-
you listening to this if you haven't
We'll
paid
find
yet?
you. Also, just reach out to us on social media or by email or whatever. Just let us know your here. Just be like, hey, I listened. We literally have no way of knowing if even one person has listened to a
text
single
me.
podcast we put out. I don't know how much you guys know about podcasts.
If you know about podcasts, that was a joke. If you don't know about podcasts, that wasn't a joke. We literally have no way of knowing.
Numbers.
So
Text me, beat me if you want to reach me. Let's do
just
it.
totally believe us on that one. Also, we guested on another Pokemon podcast.
We did.
We have a little guest segment on a podcast called Luke Loves Pokemon. So check him out. Check out his show. It's a fun little show where he talks about every Pokemon, and we were on his episode that was released, I think should be out by now, was released on Christmas Eve, where we talk about what we want to see, what type of Pokemon we want to see in a future game.
Yeah, Luke loves Pokemon.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
And then, sorry, Ashley, you had somebody you wanted to shout out, right?
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you, Pat. So recently my friend sent me their number. I didn't actually put their number in my phone correctly. Ended up texting, hey, what's up? Here's my stupid podcast that you asked to listen to. And it ended up being someone I didn't know. Because, and, you know what? I actually have am I allowed to read some of this really quickly?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Really quick. I'm going to read a little bit of, the text message that was sent. It goes on a little longer than what I sent to you guys. We actually ended up having like a conversation. Their name is Clement. Yeah. And
Hey, Clement.
Hey, Clement. And he said they said, I'm not sure, they would listen. So here we go. They also told me that they only rate things that they either really love or really hate, and I told him that to rate it either way because you'd either really love or really hate this. Actually, in honesty, I said you should rate it 5 stars. You're gonna hate this even if you think it sucks.
Yeah, if you hate this podcast, rate it 5 because it helps other people find it. Rate it 5 stars
And be like, this really sucks. You should not listen. So you rate it 5 stars so it reaches the top to warn everyone not to listen to it. Yeah. So anyway,
this is what we'll do for interaction. Please, we will personally shout you out on our podcast. We just want you to listen.
Yes. So Clement, thank you for listening because you said that you would. My very best friend in the whole world.
If you didn't, we'll find you.
We will find you because I have your phone number.
And fine you.
And
we'll find you. $30.
$5,000.
Okay. How do we get out of one of these? We've never. I often think that we should like come up with a slogan.
Okay.
You know what I've always wanted to do?
What?
Yes,
that
Pat.
I don't ever get to do.
What's that?
What's that, Pat?
Is at the end of one of these say, "See you next year."
Oh. I mean, I guess you can do that now. If you want to.
I think you just did.
Yeah, you're right.
It'll be January 1st when our next one comes.
I like to say something though.
Yeah.
Can I say something? Bye.
Bye.
Bye.